Hey guys, I'm back here with another video, and yeah, Sekiro, or Sekiro, whatever the fucking pronunciation is. The new From Software game that is stealing the headlines for all the wrong reasons, because it should get news about how fucking good it is. About how it's this really excellent video game that is punishing, but encourages mastery of the systems. Encourages players to get better, to play it again and again and again, trying to actually give a fuck about what's going on with the story, because from everything I'm hearing, this is the best From Software story. Like, this is a game that, for all intents and purposes, has been getting nothing but praise. Except for one group of people, and that is the games journalists. And here's the thing about games journalists, they're fucking useless at this point. They are genuinely fucking useless. Games journalists now are pretty much the exact opposite of the people you listen to, because there's just so many things wrong with it nowadays. There's so many things wrong with games journalism, where you have obvious corporate shills that take payouts for giving good reviews to games that are fucking terrible, that you can clearly see are just not gonna be good. How many times do they suck the dick of, like, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which, I mean, it's playable, but it's nowhere near stellar. It's very annoying in a lot of spots. How many times do they defend blatantly, I don't want to say anti-consumer, because that term's fucking gay as fuck, but they defend business practices, and they defend companies that do shit that's downright skeezy as hell. Like, how many times did you see pro loot box fucking articles? How many times did you see articles praising always online DRM when that was starting to become a thing? I mean, when you see a games journalist, 99% of the time, they're gonna go in the opposite direction of what people actually want, because they don't give a fuck about the subject they're in. They genuinely don't. Games journalists do not give a shit about the customer base. They do not give a shit about video games. They don't give a shit about anything, about any of the culture they're in. They don't care. And a lot of it does kind of come down to the fact that there tend to be ulterior motives regarding it, where a lot of games journalists want to be political activists. They want to pretend to be nerds, kind of be the ironic nerd, you know, the one that wears the flannel, has a gay-ass haircut, and has thick-rimmed glasses and shit, where you can clearly see they're trying way too hard to be quirky and goofy. Basically, the people that liked Life is Strange unironically, those faggots. Yeah, no one should be like that. That is a nightmare that you can only solve with a shotgun to the mouth. Anyway, see, the problem with the games journalists in Sekiro is, once again, we see that there is a blatant incompetence in a very significant chunk of people that claim to be games journalists, where the big problem with games journalist culture, and I'm going to link it back to the Sekiro thing, just this is something I really should explain first, because it's actually pretty massive in regards to the whole argument of this video, is that games journalists have been showing for years that they've been getting worse and worse and worse at reviewing games. They have been. There's very blatant evidence that a lot of games journalists get covered by their friends, and their blatant incompetence is almost never punished, and if anything, customers are punished for pointing it out. Don't believe me? Look at the Dean Takahashi shit. Yeah. You wanna know who that guy is? That's a dude that fucked up his Mass Effect review because he didn't know you could use skill points to upgrade your abilities. Skill points. The most basic concept in an RPG. Not only that, but he fucked up the Cuphead gameplay because he didn't know how inertia and jumping worked. This was a dude that has no fucking clue how to play video games, or at the very least, very specific genres of video games, and whenever he gets called out, all the journalists circle the wagons. Another one that's pretty infamous was the Polygon playthrough of Doom, where that dumbass motherfucker shot health packs and looked like he genuinely never played a shooter before. Which, okay, if he never played a shooter, that's one thing. But address that. And that never happened once in the Arthur Guy's playthrough of Doom. Yeah, that dude, that whole fiasco where he was shooting health packs and couldn't hit zombies point blank in the fucking head. That dude. And it's only been getting worse from there, where you see articles about, like, how video games need to always have an easy mode or a skip button for gameplay, or, ooh, why can't we just skip this boss fight if it kills us too many times? And really, the games journalists push for every game to be easier is why you see so many streamlined, watered-down franchises. Don't believe me? Really think about how the fucking stealth genre, the stealth game genre, evolved, where it went from genuinely having to remember where guard positions were, what their pathfinding was, trying to keep in check every bit of your surroundings, trying to keep noise into effect, trying to keep sight into effect, light, things like that. If you ever played Thief 2 or even the original Thief, you know what I'm talking about. You had this actually intricate system for how a stealth game would work. Then, as the years go on, you get shit like marking enemies to where you always know where they're at. You had shit like Mark and Execute for like the Hitman and Splinter Cell franchises. Then it even got easier where you had automatic takedown buttons. You had all this shit that just knocked it down until it barely even resembled what it was. I mean, Dishonored, it wants to say it's a stealth franchise. It's not stealth at all. There is no reason you have to use stealth in a Dishonored game. None at all. It is an action game first and foremost. I mean, for all intents and purposes, stealth is pretty much dead beyond exceptions. And it only gets worse from there, where look at shit like the action game genre, where every third-person shooter tried to be The Last of Us, which I liked The Last of Us. I think Last of Us was good, but every game tried to be it. Every game tried to be Arkham. Every game tried to be this and that. And you can argue as much as you want that was market influence where everyone bought one game, so clearly they had to shoot for everything else being it. But at the same time, really look at the culture around games like The Last of Us, where for all intents and purposes, Last of Us is way more of like a movie or a mini-series than it is a game. There's a lot of moments where you're just walking and talking. And that's not even bringing up the walking simulator shit, where you had shit like Gone Home or Dear Esther getting praised when there's literally nothing you can do in those games. And worse than that, there's basically no runtime to them. You can beat Dear Esther in like 30 minutes, and I think Gone Home you can beat in even less. These are games that are not even worthy of their price tag, but they get pushed. You have this culture of games journalism pushing them, appraising them, saying that they're these new art experiences you need to check out, that they're pushing the medium forward. No, they're not. They're pushing it backwards. It's even less interactivity. It'd be one thing if it was like a film director or something like that, making this new interactive experience that's a movie, like maybe a VR movie or some shit like that. Kind of a weird example, but that's my point. It's like, to me, it's not even a game at that point. Like, a game needs to have a condition where you can lose or actually have some interactivity beyond walking. And the worst part of it is the fact that anyone that calls this out, anyone that calls this I'm going to outright say, a culture of laziness in games journalism, where there is this bred entitlement among games journalists, where they will swear under the sun that it's the gamers that are entitled, that, oh, it's the meanie-ass gamers, the ones that spend 20 hours trying to max out everything in a game that you can beat in under 5. Oh, they're the problems, they're the hardcore psychos, they're the ones that shout, go home, gamer girl, shit like that. No, every single piece of evidence points to games journalists being entitled as fuck. And that's where I'm going to wrap this back to the Sekiro shit, where From Software has been well known for making games that are pretty merciless. If you fuck up, you get punished for it in a From Software game. You get your ass handed to you. If you fuck up really bad, you can lose a lot of experience, at least in the Souls games and all that, because they had a system where if you died, you lost all the experience you gathered until you went to get it back. If you died before that, you lost that experience. Sekiro, to my knowledge, does not do that. I have not played Sekiro yet. I really want to, but for all intents and purposes, to my knowledge, Sekiro has a different system. Now, the whole thing with Sekiro is it's still just as punishing, but it's in a different way. It's more about mastering the parry system and is more focused on being an action game in a lot of ways. It's still, to my knowledge, an RPG. It just has differences. Now, a lot of people have been liking Sekiro. They say it's fun. It's difficult, but it's fun. A lot of it is reminiscent to Cuphead, at least in terms of difficulty, where you get your ass kicked, but you want to get up and do it again. So, a lot of people do enjoy games that will slap you on the wrist if you fuck up. It's just something in our brain where if we fuck up but are given the chance to immediately jump back in, you want to do it again. You want to see if you can succeed. And really, it's not a problem if games like that don't get huge. I actually kind of prefer games like that not really blowing up, because if a game becomes ultra popular overnight, the fan base is going to turn into cancerous retards really fast. Simply due to the fact that, well, you have people that look at what everyone else is having fun with, and they want to have fun, and then push out everyone that was having fun. Yeah, and games journalists are exactly like that too, because almost immediately, you had articles coming up saying, well, Sekiro needs an easy button. Sekiro needs options for the disabled people, aka make the game easier because they think disabled people means mouth-breathing retard that can't play a video game properly. All this shit was coming out and basically praising the fact that journalists couldn't do their fucking job properly, where the main article I want to talk about is the one with the headline, I beat Sekiro's final boss with cheats and I feel fine with that. Now, I want to get this out of the way right now. I am aware of the Fetus Berry copy pasta, the one where he's melodramatic about cheating, how you cheat yourself out of a win. I'm aware. I also think he had a good point. It's just retards took it out of context, went, oh, of course this gamer gives a shit about video games. Yeah, suck your own dick more. Yeah, suck your own dick. But I'm going to move on and explain why I actually think Fetus Berry was right in a lot of ways. So, the thing with cheats in a video game is this. If you cheat, nobody gives a fuck. Nobody actually gives a fuck. Everyone has cheated at least once in a video game. No one with a straight face can tell me they played San Andreas or Vice City and didn't get a tank. Didn't cheat a tank in and didn't cheat it to where that tank could fly. I know for a fact you did it because I did it. Everyone I knew did it. Everyone that I knew everyone else that did. It's just a thing you did. It was fun. And of course you turn on God mode if there's a part pissing you off and you want to get through it. Because back in like 2000s era with like PS2 and some shit like that, some games were downright unfair. Like you were straight up surrounded and put into situations where unless you knew exactly what to do and could do it perfectly, you were gonna die bad. Especially on games that were already pretty difficult and had a harder difficulty setting. Obviously, I do not include games like Devil May Cry 3 because, yeah, the whole point of a Devil May Cry 3 game is, you get good at those combos. But a lot of other games did have cheat options. It's well known. You could play Doom with God mode. You could play GTA and get guns and God mode and all that shit. I mean, it was just a thing. Everyone knew about it. Everyone was fine with it. No one cared. But the big thing is, you don't always play a game with cheats. Sometimes you want a challenge. Sometimes you actually want to have that risk of being shot and killed in the back of your mind. That's perfectly fine. In fact, that's kind of the point the developer was going for. And the big point to this doesn't even have anything to do with the concept of cheating by itself. It's a video game. As long as it's only in single player, I don't give a shit what you do. It's your game. The problem comes with this. If you're a journalist specifically paid to write about video games, specifically paid to play video games, you need to be able to beat a game without cheats. Or you need to be able to really explain why you couldn't. Okay? It wasn't like the journalist actually explained himself in the article when, hey, my game glitched out and the final boss had unlimited health or had double the health or did double the damage. Point is, did something that made it to where I couldn't beat it normally, so I had to activate a cheat and beat him that way. It wasn't like that. It was literally just, he got lazy, he wanted to meet the deadline, he activated a cheat and killed the boss. And then he acts like that's somehow the equivalent of just beating the game normally. Not really. And once again, it comes back to this. If he just kept that story to himself, maybe told a friend, maybe joked about it, that's one thing. But he wrote an article about it. He wrote an article about it and was seen contributing to an article about tips on how to play Sekiro and get better. This dude that couldn't even beat the final boss without cheats wants to give you tips on how to beat the game. Yeah, bullshit. And before anyone says, well, that doesn't mean he's not good at the game, I guarantee you there's a Twitch streamer who probably got his hands on the game and first attempt beat everything. You wanna know why? Because some people get really into these types of games and really understand what the fuck they're doing. Why the fuck should you listen to the PC gamer journalist that couldn't beat a boss without cheats over the dude that streams the game and can show you what he did to beat a boss without cheats? I mean, it kind of comes down to, do you want a guy you know can't do it properly, or do you want a guy that you know can do it properly? Because a lot of people have beaten the game. A fucking quadriplegic dude beat the game, legit. This concept of oh, this game is too hard, we need it to be easier, or oh no, just let him off the hook, it's just a game, why do you care, everybody cheats at some point. Not when you're paid to do it. Not when you're paid to do it, that's not the point. I mean, okay, think about it like this. I want to make my example a bit more coherent and clear, just to really solidify it. Would you buy a cookbook from Gordon Ramsay, a well-known, world-renowned chef, a guy that really knows his shit, that has multiple shows dedicated to him teaching people how to run a kitchen properly, teaching people how to cook properly, multiple pieces of evidence that show this motherfucker knows what he's doing? Or would you buy a cookbook from a guy that admits he only microwaves everything, that he doesn't know how to make a souffle, he just shoves cup ramen in a microwave? Yeah, there you go. And I want to clarify that a little bit more, because that example doesn't just apply to this one journalist because he used cheats to beat a final boss. This applies to games journalism in general, because for all intents and purposes, why would you want to read some article that doesn't show you any video, that is typically written by some douchebag, beta hipster douchebag that hates the audience, that despises what he does? Or would you watch maybe a YouTube video or a stream that has direct video of everything going on? You can see how the game plays, you can see how they're playing it, and you can judge for yourself. Yeah, you kind of see why game journalism is dying now. And I'm going to move on to kind of a larger point where there's kind of a building spiciness to this whole argument about the Sekiro thing and all that, and that I see a lot of ironic gamers. I'm going to really clarify what that means, but essentially it's a bunch of ironic gamers taking pot shots at people that are shit-talking the journalist and shit-talking the whole culture of games journalism, becoming lazier and demanding accessibility features, aka they want it to be easier so they get deadlines out in time. And really, this weird like smugness where they think, oh, you actually give a shit about a video game, how pathetic. Well, here's kind of the big thing. A lot of those people tend to be 9 volts, that faggot ass dude that tried to get feet pictures from a chick. He outright admitted to hating. Yeah, the whole mom bot thing where he tried to get pics of her feet to prove that she was a woman. 9 volt's a fucking creep. Jim Sterling, the fat whale that is a paid shill that admitted to getting cucked by his wife that looks exactly like him. Yeah, he was another one that was all like, oh, of course these people forgot about what cheats are. They took them out and sold them as DLC. Of course they care about this. Yeah, no. If you're an ironic gamer, if you're like an ironic anything in a subject where you want to be involved, yet you always shit talk to people involved, and you always want to be the guy that goes, well, you're all just a bunch of idiots, go fuck yourself. You're not cool. You're annoying. You're a douchebag. Everyone makes fun of you. This can also apply to anime because Mother's Basement shit his pants on trying to say that a wholesome anime about a fox girl is somehow pedophile material. Yeah, don't listen to Mother's Basement. That dude's a fucking loser. He's a fucking creep. He's literally the boyfriend of an e-whore, a chick that sells nude pictures of herself online. Yeah, men have more self-respect than that. Do not become that. Do not become a Mother's Basement. And really, it just kind of comes down to the whole idea of trying to get into this I'm the exception gamer, where it's like, oh no, I'm not the guy that streams his head off. I'm the cool, collected, fedora-tipping gamer. No, you are a faggot. You are a loser. You are a dude trying to look cool and smart, and when you're kind of missing the entire nuance of the situation, ironically enough. Because, as I've stated multiple times, as I've tried to reiterate multiple times throughout this video, nobody gives a fuck if this dude cheated on his own time. If he played the game by himself, not for a review, not for an article, not for anything, and used cheats, that's him. Plenty of people play modded Dark Souls. Plenty of people play modded games in general, with all sorts of different variations. From God mode, to unlimited inventory, to unlimited ammo, to anything you can think of. It's perfectly fine. The problem comes when you have a literal job to play it properly, to play it and judge it as it is, without your butthurt little ass getting frustrated because the final boss is killing you, and you think, oh no, I'm gonna miss my deadline. Just say, I'm having trouble with this boss, I need a little bit of time. Look up a video on how to beat it. No one's gonna judge you there. Plenty of people have probably looked up tips on how to kill other bosses in other games. It's fine. And really, that's what it comes down to. It's just admitting your limitations. Admitting that maybe you're not the best at this, maybe you need to put more time into it. Maybe you need to actually start giving a shit about your job and trying to actually push forward, because really, playing a video game for a job sounds like the easiest shit in the world. And not even like a Let's Player or a streamer where you have to be entertaining on top of that. That can actually be difficult, where you're trying to focus on two different things at once, being entertaining and playing. No, it's literally just playing the game and giving your thoughts. And really, this is kind of the equivalent of, like, someone actually on Twitter really put this best, where it'd be like Roger Ebert watching a movie. He hits a part he doesn't like, so he just fast forwards it, and then he proudly admits that. It's like, oh yeah, I liked that movie. I only saw 5 minutes of it though. Wait, what the fuck happened? Oh yeah, I fast forward through all the parts I didn't like. And then acts like you're weird for giving a shit that maybe that's not the best decision to make. I mean, really, just play the fucking game. Man up, play the fucking game. Oh no, this job is somehow difficult because now I have to actually put in effort to beat a video game boss. Yeah, this is just fucking... This is a retarded issue. It's retarded that I literally have to explain that nobody gave a fuck if this dude cheated on his own time. It's the fact he wrote an article about it, is clearly trying to build up the idea that Sekiro is too hard and needs to be made easier because games journalists and all these ironic gamers in general just can't stand the idea that maybe people don't want games to be watered down, that maybe the entire appeal of From Software games is that they're difficult and you need to master them. No, God forbid people actually get a difficult game that they want to play. No, it all has to be made easy. It all has to be as simple as pouring water out of a boot with the instructions on the fucking heel. No. People want this game to be hard. Man the fuck up and accept that. Okay, that's it.